eating a croissant.
I was going to say something nice, but you did.
Yum,
Welcome,
yum,
everybody,
yum.
back to Doctor Who Review. I'm Chris.
Yummy in my tummy. I'm not Chris.
Thank you. And we are here to talk about the last 4 episodes of Series 8 of Modern Doctor Who. If you've not seen this before, it's a video podcast. Don't expect there to be any visuals beyond sort of this nonsense. Occasionally a dog appears in the back because that's cute. There's just so much to listen along with. Also, if you haven't seen the 4 episodes we're going to discuss, maybe don't watch this if you want to avoid spoilers, because we're just going to be talking about what we thought about them.
We're going to be talking about it in depth.
We're talking about it, we're talking.
Hear our mouths and that.
Yeah, mouths and dreams and thoughts. Anyway, Jamie Matheson comes back to write a second episode in a row after Mummy on the Orient Express. Flatline. Those.
No.
Oh, what's happening now?
She's chewing the tree.
Cat's being a dick under the Christmas tree. It's Christmas while we're recording this. This is the one with graffiti in... Is it Bristol? Is it set in Bristol? I can't remember. I think so. Anyway, yes, Bristol. It's the one where a boatload of... What are you doing?
Well, that's not mine, is it?
What
Sorry.
are you doing?
Sorry.
What's going on?
Sorry. I was concentrating on the cat doing
And then
this
decided to
and then-
steal my hidden
and
coffee.
then nearly took a swiggy of brew. Sorry.
Anyway, it's the one where monsters are coming through from another dimension. It appears like graffiti and it affects the dimensional plane. And you realise as the story's going on that they're like snatching things from our world to try and study and dissect it and understand what it is before they can then move on to ours.
Which
And
makes for some very creepy visuals.
Yes, it does. And over the course of the story, the Doctor and Clara determine that their intent is not necessarily innocent or from a place of just trying to know understanding. There's definitely something malicious to how this group are doing it, which is why by the end the Doctor was like, yep, screw it, monologue you to death, and now I send you to your death. So,
Yes.
yeah. It's famous for several reasons. It's the It's the introduction of Rigsy, played by the brilliant Jovan Wade, who I still need to watch as of this recording. Doom Patrol. I've always wanted to watch Doom Patrol. He's Cyborg in it.
I'm sorry, that made me think Paw Patrol.
No.
I don't think
Doom Patrol's the one where Brendan Fraser is the voice of Robo-Man.
Oh, little Brendan Fraser.
Well, there you go. And he sometimes appears on camera as the character as well.
Oh.
But it's mostly a Mandalorian type role where he just did the voiceover for it. Jovan Wade is... Jovan Wade? I'm going to mispronounce his name. Basically, this man is great. He's a fucking great performer. Whenever I see him in something, I always enjoy him. And he's alright. Really he's alright as Rigsy in this. He's lovely. You immediately get that balance where the playing with the dynamic of the show, in this case, Clara being the lead of the adventure because of necessity. Like, Rigsy immediately slips, obviously textually, metatextually, into the companion role of being the question asker. It's like a companion's first adventure. It's very reminiscent to like, Rose, Martha, like their first adventures with the Doctor in the modern era. He's sort of that to Clara, who of course is pretending to be the Doctor, or kind of putting on her version of the Doctor to deal with everything, which is kind of cute. At least in context of this episode on its own, it's kind of a fun idea. She's like, I'm the Doctor, and he's like, don't you dare. She's just doing it because it gets on his tits, basically.
I love that she was like chatting away to the Doctor, because the Doctor can't help.
Yeah, all he can do is assess or peek at stuff. Yeah.
Because the TARDIS went
Yes.
very little.
Yeah. Can we talk about how that's one of the most fun inclusions of the whole thing?
It's very funny.
It's a really fun idea.
It's quite charming, really, because it's...
Just the exterior keeps shrinking. Meaning the interior is the same, but, like, just the doorway is getting smaller.
So you just see a big old man's face.
Just a big old man's face.
No, that's not true.
One plot point literally being to Adam's family is really funny, like, oh my god, you're right, he's being Thing. That's really, really good. This is, it is the Doctor light episode, but only in the fact that they probably filmed all of Capaldi's scenes outside of the bookend scenes on location in maybe a day or two.
Yeah.
But it's still obviously very companion heavy because Jenna Coleman is leading the story this time. Mm-hmm. Clara's like a little annoying in this one. As someone did too long don't read, I've not really liked Clara. Then doing this marathon, I've realised I don't actually hate Clara, and then I've come to the realisation of, wait, no, there's a point where I start to, and we've not hit it yet. Stay tuned later in this episode. But but in this, she's a little annoying, but it's kind of part of the premise, is that she's being annoying to the Doctor.
I think it's quite funny that she's, like, investigating and chatting away to herself. And then I thought she was going to come up with, like, some BS reason as to why she's, like, talking to herself.
Mm-hmm.
But she genuinely says, like, oh, I'm talking to the Doctor.
Hmm.
And then she gets him out.
The little box out on the mantelpiece.
It's really cute. And I just think that's really funny. Like, I was not expecting it. I was expecting her to go, oh, well, she says she's a FBI person, doesn't she?
Yeah, she also plays with the idea she's like MI5 or something, yeah.
But then when she's in there, she's like, oh yeah, this is the Doctor. Very cute, very funny.
Yeah, the TARDIS being small is cute. I love the fact that it's a character options toy just painted up to look even nicer, and it's just it's stuck in the bag, his face peering out of its thumb. It's like the Gopolis when the TARDIS gets shrunk down a bit in that briefly. It's really small. Small TARDIS.
I like the house that they end up in, where the police officer gets attacked.
Yeah.
That house is really, that house is really pretty.
That's a funky house.
There was one of those hanging egg chairs though, and that unnerves me. Because you can't get comfy in one of those chairs that's hanging from the ceiling, because you'll constantly be conscious of pulling the ceiling down. Am I wrong?
Really? That's your main fear? Yeah?
Yeah, am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
I would be scared.
I'm terrified.
And also, how do you get anyway?
Excuse
but then you look in the background of the room in this house, and you think, oh, that artwork's pretty cool, isn't it? Oh no! This is how we figure out that the whatever's causing this is actually researching and learning about the human race.
Because nervous system is splayed out on the wall.
Oh no, that's gross. And then there's the portraits on the
the graffiti portraits of the people who've gone missing. Yeah, which you realise who did them, who sprayed them. And it's like no one did.
It's really morbid.
The way the boneless, and I'll get around to that, but
have I skipped ahead? I'm sorry.
No. We're just sort of chopping and changing. But like the way the boneless are portrayed is great. Visually, it's great because I think if you just designed a monster that kind of looked like this as is, just like, oh, this is what the monster looks like. It's kind of these weird CGI morphy things, and they're shuffling along, and they're very flat colours and all this, that, and the other. People will go, that looks a bit naff.
Yeah.
But knowing that they're like 2D imagery forcing themselves into 3D out of like, strategic evolution.
They still look a bit naff.
It's quite but it's quite nightmarish though, because you're like, oh no, fair enough. Like they're literally drawings or spray paint forming into a solid shape, not a solid texture or they're not popping the way that it's not like you've taken an image of a balloon and blown it up to be a balloon. It's like you've taken an image of a balloon and it's trying to blow itself up.
Yeah.
Like it looks off and weird.
Thought.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Chlorophobes out there going, cheers mate, thanks for that. I like the logic of them using them because they can turn things to 3D and whatnot. So they use that logic against them later when they design the door and stuff, the switch, and they turn it 3D to reach through it, and it's like that's clever. I like that using Riggsy's like art skills, his graffiti skills, as a way to win, which is very, very cool. The little group he's with is interesting because obviously you feel bad for all of them except for the guy in charge.
Yeah, what a
what a knobhead. Loved him in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was great, but
it was. I remember this episode being really boring, and then rewatching it, I was like, oh no, it's quite interesting because there's some genuine threat, like the Doctor falls, doesn't it? The TARDIS
Yeah, the TARDIS
falls.
goes into, I can't remember what it's called now, but it goes into like a mode where it basically becomes a little cube. It's sort of like a protection version, but it means that the power and everything's cut off, and he's gonna eventually just die in there, like stuck in it with no power.
In there or whatever it was. But yeah, he falls down. The TARDIS falls down an elevator shaft, and it gets a little sweaty at some point. I nearly grabbed your brew again.
Siege mode, that's what it's called.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like remarkable.
As an episode.
Yeah, but it's...
Do you know what it is? It's a really... It's what I like to call a good mid-season episode. It's near the end, but you know when you get one in the middle of the series, you go, do you know, it's pretty good, actually. Because normally you get a, yeah, it was fine. Yeah, not just Doctor Who, like a lot of TV shows that are like serialised or across several weeks, you get like, you know, the ones in the middle are always a bit, yeah, that's fine, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like this was very much
42, The Doctor's Daughter, like, you know, those kind of episodes you go like, yeah, it was fine. It was alright, did its job. But I think the visuals elevate it. The thing that drags it out in a bad way for me is at the end, the whole thing with Clara's like, see, being you is alright actually, like, do you enjoy being you? And he's like, I don't enjoy anything. And going back into that, and we'll talk about this in the last episode's, like, thing, but going into the series arc, which seems to be, character arc seems to be, am I a good man? It's like, huh? So it's weird how he's just sort of like, you shouldn't enjoy being me and all this, very odd, and then Missy looking over it on an iPad or whatever and being like, I have chosen well, and you're like, right, what's going on? Sorry, mysterious woman who we don't know the name of, going, I have chosen well. So like, alright. Flatline's fine. I think out of Jamie Matheson's 2 episodes this series, Mummy is leagues above.
Hands down.
Mummy is so enjoyable and morbid and creepy and fun and silly and exciting, and this one is, you know, very good, but it's also just like there. Speaking of episodes that are there and people sat down and decided to make them.
Yeah.
In the Forest of the Night. Now, had you seen this one?
Yeah.
Because I remember saying to you, like, you said, what were we watching? I said, a Flatline, and we're going to watch one called In the Forest of the Night. You went, what's that one?
It's very forgettable.
Oh, bless you.
Well, it was.
Again, if you've seen this, you know that this is a...
doozy.
This is an episode that is still thought of as shite. Like, general audience consensus, never mind Doctor Who fans. And there was a weird revisionism around it a couple of years ago on social media where people were going, did you know what? Actually... And, like, I'm sorry.
No.
If you enjoy it, I love you. I wish I felt the same. This is...
garbage.
It's garbage. It's so bad.
It's so really... I mean, let's from the start to the very end, it is garbage.
So, tiny reminder for those who don't know, this is the one where everyone wakes up and suddenly there is plant life everywhere. Like, everywhere. And for some reason, people stay in their homes.
I know.
And it's about... this is the most modern... This is the most modern... Really great. They can't smell it. They don't need to know that.
But I need to share my distress.
This is the most... You know when people say, oh, the old ones are just shot in a quarry. This is the most shot in a quarry version of a Doctor Who episode ever.
Yeah.
This one's shot in central London, except it's just a bit of woods.
Really not.
It's just some woods.
Wow.
It's just some woodland.
I need to point out that we make notes.
Yeah, before we get to your notes, go on, set them up, because I wanna do something. I wanna do something nice first. Oh.
So.
Excuse me, recording this very late.
I don't know if you. No, you won't be able to see.
No.
A little bit. But
sorry.
This bit here is like the average
note
taking for an episode. This one, balls.
Balls, not big balls. Show them what the notes for In the Forest of the Night are, Babu.
So they start here, where my finger is.
Jesus Christ.
There we go. So,
let's get the positives out of the way.
Okay.
That was quick. No, let's get the positives out of the way. Samuel Anderson as Danny is very good.
Yeah.
I like Danny Pink a lot. Yeah. This episode just, again, reinforces this is just a nice guy. Bit thick, because apparently they lost a kid easy.
Well,
and
we'll get
we'll get into that. But he's a nice guy. He wants the best, and he's very much like, look, if this is going to be the end of days, if we're all about to die in this solar flare, I'm not letting them know it. We are going out, having a good time. The kids being brilliant, looking out for each other.
Yeah,
And
it's very much a don't scare the kids.
This is the broody episode where you look at Danny Pink and go, God, he'd be a really good dad.
He'd be a good dad.
I want him to be dad to my kids. Wait, what? Like, it's that kind of...
What?
No, but that's what I mean. The idea is that Clara would sort of go, God, he's amazing,
man,
isn't he?
Absolutely stink. Sorry. Sorry.
So, that's the... Do you know what I mean? Danny Pink, great.
I genuinely can't think of a positive of this episode. I really can't.
Let's get into your notes. Can we make your notes the main critique of this episode?
Yeah, of course we can.
The main analysis.
I'm excited. I've been looking at...
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't... When you've seen one you didn't like, you're normally like, oh, God, we have to watch that one. Oh, we have to talk about that one.
It took us...
And you've been asking for days now, like, when are we recording? Because I've got notes.
I've got things to say.
Excuse me.
Like, I usually get, like... Are you making notes in the episode? And I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh, I forgot, yeah.
Okay. Ready?
Whereas with this one, you like pause it a second.
Yeah,
you were
it took us
finishing
ages
a
to
note,
watch
and you're like,
this.
right, press play.
It took us ages to watch it because we were just like, are you kidding? What the hell? And we'd have to discuss it.
I hadn't watched this one, by the way, I hadn't watched this one since broadcast in 2014.
That's probably the same.
I did a mini marathon of Series 8 when I got the Blu-ray in like 2015, but I didn't watch everything. I just kind of skipped through a couple that I wasn't as fussed about, and this was one of them.
Yeah.
So go on.
Okay, my top note is I want to stay over at a museum, sad face. Kids in schools can stay over at like aquariums and museums. Why didn't we ever get this?
Mostly because I think of the logistics. How does that work? Wouldn't you need a teacher to be awake all night or take it in shifts just in case something goes wrong? But then again, like I went to some...
wrong in case a fish
well,
got out and...
No, but I mean, like if a kid gets up and goes wandering off on their own and stuff, do you know what I mean?
Excuse me, you'd have there's security there to stop that.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Well... Okay, so at the beginning there's a big thing about how they can't open the door to the museum because everything is overgrown behind it. They make a massive thing about
the guard sort of jokes a little bit, like, oh, it's always a bit stiff, this, and so on.
And Danny's like, come on kids, we can do this. Yeah, pushing it, but...
Yeah, so basically, they can't get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main girl in this, one of the schoolgirls...
Is it Ruby? Is that the main girl?
Maeve. Ruby is not the main girl. She is straight out of Matilda.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, Maeve. Maeve spelled M-A-E-B-H. Never seen that spelling before. I was like...
With a B?
Yeah, Maeve.
Maeve? I thought it was Maeve.
Yeah, it's Maeve. It's pronounced Maeve. Like Neve, for example. Neve, N-A-I-M-H is Neve.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
6 years of reading kids' emails out on CBBC will do that to you.
Does not compute. Does not compute. Anyway, I've spelt Maeve wrong, but oh well.
That's alright. It's phonetic.
I wrote in capitals, how did Maeve get out of the museum? Because she is missing. She has wandered off into the forest. How did she get out? There are no windows open because it's a museum.
Yeah.
Why would you have the windows open?
Completely valid questions.
How... Okay.
These are things that Frank Cottrell Boyce did not consider when writing the script.
That annoys me. That's a big hole. That's a big hole. Where are all the people?
Maybe that's how she got out. She found the big hole in the plot. She just climbed through it.
Where are all the people?
Yes. Well, there's like throwaway
in
mentions to some people staying indoors because the news is telling them. But then you see like Maeve's mum and a couple, like her neighbour, all being like, who's cut that tree down in front of my house? Oh, I'll go out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, so some people are just going about their daily lives and all starting late, I guess. And then, I mean, for example, I'm Mr. Freelance. I would have slept through it all, woke up about like 11 in the morning and gone, hell's happened out there?
Oh, there's lots of foliage.
You're telling me Maeve's mum woke up, didn't see a single other window of the house sunlight blocked off by random trees, had a shower, had a breakfast, got ready and everything, and then went to pick her off the museum and only then noticed.
Why have I had to turn the lights on? I'll look out the window.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, something that I think Russell would have done during his
tenure
is having a shot of maybe London or a big famous street in London or whatever, or a bridge or something, covered in this.
Show further than the immediate location, because they show us Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
Because we see Nelson's column, and we see what you can see of Maeve's mum's street.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean, like,
but have people in the street going like, what? What is this?
Yeah, establish like people a few hours earlier, waking up to see it. And,
having people just looking at it going, what? Or people in their living rooms or opening their front doors just going, what?
Yeah.
They could have done with that. But it seems like people have gone, huh.
Yeah.
And just stayed in the house, which is exactly the opposite of what would happen.
Mm.
Even have people like taking pictures of it, posting it on like Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something just to say, oh, people are being affected by this.
Instead, it's just kind of...
like it's just a group of kids
are
affected.
Because we only ever see the group of kids
exactly.
and the random animals they encounter. Like, that's it.
Weird. Clara is a shit teacher.
How so?
I didn't write anything with that.
I mean, aside from bragging to her students about snogging Jane Austen.
When she's asked
like
a question, I'm pretty sure there are moments where she answers and somebody goes, oh no, that's not right. And then she'll go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a recurring gag with her. Yeah.
It's like, what? And she cares more about... She seems to care more about the doctor than the situation that these kids are in and, like, stopping them from being scared. And also they let a child go and didn't realise. Fuck's sake.
I'm remembering things I want to bring up, but I'm waiting to see if they show up in your notes.
Okay. Clara is annoying, just for the above reasons that I just spoke about. Clara doesn't care about the children. Just talked about that. Danny is a cute teacher.
Yeah.
Because he does follow the leader kind of chants and stuff to do with his army days and shit like that.
Again, incorporating his military background into the story in a way that shows it's not made him a bad person. Which just makes the Doctor look like even more of a random dickhead this series, which is a recurring thing.
Yeah.
See our last episode where you have the bit where he shows the Doctor up in the caretaker, where I'm like, no, Danny's completely right to call him out here. Yeah. He's completely right to call him out.
In this series, there is a lot of contradiction.
I'm not pro-military, but I'm also not aggressively anti-military, because, what's the point in that? The individuals aren't doing something wrong.
You're not
Danny's not a bad person because he was a soldier.
You can be anti-military but not anti-soldier.
The Doctor has committed genocide on numerous occasions.
He's got no place to be in bed. Anyway.
Oh yeah, the Time War, sure. The Time War was all rewritten and stuff, fine, whatever, but chucking those dudes in the acid bath, he's done loads of horrid stuff over the...
that fox thing, that wolf fox thing in the Happiness Parade.
Happiness Patrol.
Patrol, that's it.
Did he? I can't remember if he killed Fifi, did he?
Or did the licorice guy kill Fifi?
Candyman, I can't remember. I'll put it this way. There's numerous occasions where he has, killed people or done this, that and the other. For Christ's sake, without Donna's intervention, he nearly murdered every single baby of the Rachnos, whose only crime was that they were the babies of the Rachnos. They were hungry babies, and he, just casually genocided them and then didn't think about... the Doctor... And then we're not saying the Doctor shouldn't do this, because, screw it, based on the story, it's if that's the only way you're going to save everybody, fine. But then there are occasions where he goes too far, and that's of his own choice, not because he's been told to do it or is following orders. So all of his criticisms of Danny mean Jack S, basically. Yes. It's so weird.
We've only got through a quarter of these notes.
Keep going.
I've not had my tea yet.
We had a croissant. To tide you over.
Yeah.
I said, you okay to record? You went, I'll have a croissant.
Or two. Okay, the main point in these notes, which I should have highlighted and put a line under. They didn't notice a child had gone.
Yeah.
Do you know? It's not a big group of kids.
Nope. Keep going.
Hold on.
Oh yeah,
no, I'll get to that bit. Ruby is very annoying.
Yes, this is the kid who you kept calling the Matilda kid,
And
because they felt like a featured supporting child role in an adaptation
in a West End show of Matilda. Very annoying, very enunciative. Very.
Now we bloody love that show.
I just made that word.
But you know exactly what we mean. You know exactly what we mean by those descriptions.
Yeah, projecting when she didn't need to. Ruby is very annoying, and Trunchbull should throw her in the chokey. Yep. That's what I'm going to say about that.
Fling her by her pigtails.
No, not Lavender style. She's nice. No, that's not Lavender, is it?
What if it's a running chuck?
Lavender's her friend.
What if it's a running chuck? You fling her by her pigtails into the chokey.
I can't remember. Anyway. They just found some people in the forest and continued to set trees on fire. This is like the government's reaction to it. They're going to
go randomly into the middle of the centre of London, nowhere near their base, which would also be surrounded by trees.
And
just burn some
check
trees.
For people. There aren't any people because we already established that everybody's just apparently stayed at home.
And the Doctor and Clara nearby, they're just like, get back! As they then flamethrower a tree, which, if it works, all of them are about to die.
Exactly. How stupid can you get?
So dumb. So dumb.
So I've written, they just found some people in the forest and continue to set trees on fire. This is London. A lot of people live in London. Maybe check it's clear before burning it.
Yeah. Now, of course, the argue to that is, well, it doesn't set on fire. And
they don't know that.
That's the teaser, like, that sort of suggests the thing that they realise later on, but it's like, yeah, they don't know that. They've walked into the centre of London in an attempt to burn a tree down. And if they succeed, they'll be trapped in a blazing inferno, which they'll have trapped millions of other people in.
It sounds like they've put millions and millions of pounds into something and not checked that it'll work first. You know, kind of like an app.
Yeah, but enough about PPE and track and trace.
Yeah.
Our government are incompetent.
Okay.
I'm going to assume they're still in power by the time this video goes up.
Assume away, I'm sure it's probably true. The children aren't really gifted and talented. She just says that to make them feel good.
Yep.
Said in a children's show.
Wow.
Where gifted and talented is still a thing.
Yeah. Gifted and talented referring to either kids that have just worked really, really hard, so go on certain trips or things like that as like a well done for really applying yourself. Or sometimes is a group-like activity thing to help encourage kids to teach each other and encourage each other in subjects that not all of them are on top of, so that the idea is by the end they have like achieved more together. And this is setting up that idea of like, it's just a thing we do to make them feel good about themselves. And it's like,
hey kids,
wow.
Somebody's told you that you're doing really well and they're very proud of you. It's just to make you feel good. It's not real.
Which is carrying on that weird theme of Kill the Moon with Courtney and the whole, like, obviously they're the older kids in the school.
Special.
This is like the year, I'm going to say these are like the year 7s, they must be.
Like year 8s maybe.
Yeah,
so not quite babies, but...
If that, like...
A little hardened by high school.
Yeah.
But it's just another point of Clara's a shit teacher.
Yeah.
Because she's... Just, why would you put that in a show for kids? That would make you...
It's also saying to you, the audience, that, oh, don't worry, all the kids in this are thick. Like, these characters, they're all thick. They don't know what to do. And it's like, what the hell? Pray continue. Is this just another flaw in this episode?
Angry. A small child could not outrun a wolf. That was just ridiculous. That was a ridiculous collection
It's just they could have a Red Riding Hood, like, visual in it. That's why.
This child running through the forest, yep, sure. And a wolf running full pelt. That wolf looks like it's about 2 miles in front of her. Because that's where it would be. Bullshit. Sorry. Danny got rid of a tiger. And they just stood there.
Yes, on the same side of the fence that the tiger's on.
Yeah.
A tiger, which, let's face it, probably wouldn't have attacked any of them because it's from London Zoo. It'll be fairly placated. It'll be fairly chill. It'll be confused and scared, but it wouldn't be like, I'm gonna eat all of you. Like, no. This tiger will be used to eating, like, fucking meat and shit that's prepared for it.
It's used to being more of a scavenger, I suppose, as opposed to being a hunter and...
Yeah. And just because, like, also it's the implication that, right, so the forest has grown up, so it's probably burst the banks of the zoo a bit, so some of the animals have got out. Alright, fair enough.
I'd be more scared of them flipping monkeys. Wow,
of course you're going to throw poo at him.
That was very Northern of me, wasn't it?
But like,
I'm scared of them monkeys.
But like, surely that means much more dangerous stuff's got out as well.
There's going to be a bear in the flipping penguins. Oh, penguins not so much.
Tarantulas getting out, poisonous ones, like things like that. Just I don't know.
Frogs? No wait.
Yeah,
snakes.
There's a bit where like
Frogs. What?
There's a bit where like I don't know if they're allowed to keep venomous snakes in zoos anymore.
Don't they milk them?
No, that's what I'm saying.
What was that sound?
You sounded so innocent. So don't they milk them?
They do milk them with their.
I know, but like I
not
think
like in their teeth.
I think they have up to a certain size. You can't keep them based on how they apply their venom. Because like a tarantula, it's relatively small. The risk factor is smaller, but like say if you had a puff adder or something, you'd be like, oh, ouch.
I'd love to hold a tarantula. I really would.
I would not.
But you're not allowed to anymore. Because people drop them.
Yeah.
And they die. So sad.
But anyway, there's that bit where they go to that little section and the trees are covered in webs, and you're like, what's this about? And then it's no one references it. No one. And they're like giant webs. It's like, what is this?
We started doing the. Yes, Doctor.
Yeah, the great one.
The
great one.
You could have referenced that. That was a great opportunity to reference that. I don't know how you do it, but it would make the episode slightly better.
Oh, this reminds me of Metebelis 3 and the Planet of the Spiders. Then looks directly down the barrel of the camera and goes, do you remember that, Lucy? Do you remember that story? Do you remember?
And
you're sat at home going, what?
Yes,
Wait,
I do remember.
You recorded this in 2014. I hadn't watched that story then. So
go and watch that episode.
Go watch it, it's very good.
This one's garbage. Go watch it. I don't know what accent I'll do, but anyway.
Grab some tissues. The doctor regenerates at the end. I'm very sorry.
So Danny, like does a light trick where there's something reflective, like his watch.
Yeah, he sort of wards off the tiger by like blinding it a little bit.
Yeah, and the tiger's just like
the flashlight. The kid is like, oh no, night light. It's like, oh, it's a spotlight. This in the daytime.
So they
fair enough, shining in its eyes. Fair enough, but
that would probably work. I mean,
the flipping daytime though.
Was he in a situation where he needed to fend off tigers? But anyway,
you milk them. Don't they milk them?
Shut up! You do milk a snake.
I agree, but I'm just laughing.
Anyway, so the fact that the kids are just like fine.
Yeah, not a single one of them's freaking out.
There's a tiger. Bye.
And then they stay on that side of the
I
fence.
just realised you can't see me waving. Bye. And that's it's just absurd that it's like the tiger just goes, hold on. There it is. Oh, bye.
Bye.
And the kids are just like,
yay, we're safe now, sir.
hi, Clara. Hi, mate.
Can you imagine if while they were chatting, the tiger snuck up behind the group of kids and just picked one off? Just like,
why?
Grabbed their head in its mouth so they couldn't scream and just dragged them away.
If they were scared of it doing that, why?
We should have done a whole episode on this episode of Doctor Who. We're running out of battery already.
Oh, no.
Oh, God, we've got maybe half an hour. Let's go. Let's do.
The doctor, Maeve is like, she's like waving things in front of her, like she's like swatting something away.
Yes, which like, again, in principle, get it, sure, like the idea is she can see something, but the way it's done, the way that the actor performs it, looks ridiculous. And this, like, I don't just mean a physical action, I mean the way she just sort of stands there and then just suddenly go, it's like, huh? What? And not in a, what's happening kind of way, in a, is she alright? What's going on?
The doctor says that...
Oh, yeah, we find out that her, like, medication is suppressing her psychic abilities. Because that's the thing with Maeve, she is, like, psychic. And the show has established before that there are people who can kind of tap into that wavelength in some way. Like, Gwyneth in Unquiet Dead did it because she was born near the rift and she could hear voices through the dimensions. And, you know, we've had, like, he will knock 4 times, and like the couple in Planet of the Dead, like she can prophesy things sometimes. And so like psychics exist in Doctor Who. It is a thing where it's like, yeah, this can exist.
But this child is disturbed and very anxious.
So they're implying
because her sister has disappeared.
So they're implying that she's always felt something different. And it's been exacerbated by her sister disappearing. I think they imply the sister ran away from home, right?
It's not implied anything. I thought she'd been, like, kidnapped or something.
Okay. So, sister's gone. that's exacerbated what people have misinterpreted as like anxiety or panic or like a behavioural tic or something in some way with Maeve. So she's medicated. And the doctor's going, no, why would you drown that out? Like, stop taking your medication. And I'm like, there will be young kids who have legitimate conditions where they need to have some form of medication.
Yeah.
Who maybe don't like the fact that they have to take it because, you know, well, why do I have to take this? Depending on the age,
it makes you different,
stroppy about it and stuff. Yeah, or maybe they feel socially they're different because of it. Who will see the doctor, their hero, say that, and then be like, yeah, I'm superpowered, and this is not helping me.
I just said...
Like, it's a weird... Like, if it was an adult character, fine, because you don't have your immediate audience who the show's actually intended for looking at that adult character and going, I relate to them. So that's an odd one. But also it is weird that is a plot point. It's like, stop medicating her so we can use her as a siphon to talk to something. It's like, what?
Just said, doctor says, kids, stop taking your meds.
Children, stop taking your medication. Also, have you seen Planet of the Spiders from 1974?
Not taking your medication makes you special. But you're not special if you're gifted and talented. Let's save these kids, Doctor, but don't save them. They'll miss their parents.
Yeah. Let's
Clara.
get back to... Clara tricks him to taking them all back to the TARDIS. Because, again, the whole crux of it is there is a solar flare coming and it's going to wipe out life on Earth. It's going to burn up the surface of the Earth. And the trees are connected to it somehow. And it's like, okay, this is happening. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So... we can't save everyone. Let's at least save these kids. So let's get back to the TARDIS. And he's like, right, you have a point. Okay. So they get back to the TARDIS and then she's like, jog on, get in your TARDIS. Why? Because I knew you wouldn't get in unless I brought you back here. Why are you not all coming on now? Because they're just going to miss their pet. So let's let these kids die. Huh? But also the way they've set up the Doctor this series, wouldn't he just gone back to the... There's nothing can be done. Are you coming with me or not? Just you and me. Let's go. Let's leave. Do you know what I mean? It's
and
like...
then she says that. And then he'd be like, okay, bye.
Yeah, it's just very weird.
If I were the Doctor, I'd have looked at it and gone, oh, two birds with one stone, see you, bye.
Now, I don't hate the idea that basically plant life or something within the Earth is like... can sense the flare coming, so exacerbates growth to act as an oxygen shield, essentially, and like let the flare go by without damaging the planet. And they sort of cite examples in it of like this happened and this happened and this happened. And it was other versions of this. And it's like, okay, don't hate the idea, but like,
This kind of came out of nowhere.
wouldn't people like have written about so the Earth was covered in trees for a day, like and again I don't hate the idea that there isn't an antagonist in this. There's just something is going, a natural disaster of some kind is going to happen, a cosmic disaster, and something happens to protect them.
I'll tell you what, I just hate the idea.
Okay, have you got any more on your list?
Oh yes.
We really do have to
Sorry,
crack on.
Maeve doesn't want is telling everybody not to panic.
Yeah.
You know, don't set off the nuclear bombs to destroy all these plants because they're gonna save it.
Yeah.
And somebody asked her like how she's feeling because she's not swatting her anymore.
Yeah.
And I just wrote, don't worry, I feel better now. Are we going to save the forest? Where do babies come from? What does the colour blue taste like? Am I gifted and talented? Just because she was just like reeling questions off.
Yeah.
I was like,
What's happening? Some could argue that Maeve is written...
Take your meds, Maeve.
Well, some could argue that Maeve is written like to sort of be a certain way, to allude to maybe sort of being, you know, on the spectrum in some way or what have you. But then to kind of insult that by saying, no, she's psychic. It's like, what? Now, maybe she's both things, but it doesn't have... I don't think the story has the depth or sensitivity to really discuss it.
No.
It's so bizarre.
Next one is...
Oh, God.
Quick, kids, come back! The Doctor saying that when
Yeah,
Danny's like...
when it hits him what's really going on.
Yeah, and they're just like, yeah, okay, la la la.
I'm happy, la la la.
We'll go into your TARDIS, strange old man. Your white van with puppies written on the side.
I like that the kids just, like, are kids in that space. Like, I love the idea that he's a bit overwhelmed by it all. But at the same time, it's weird that they didn't have, like, a kids reacting to the TARDIS kind of sequence. It was just, oh, now they're treating it like a playground. I was like, what?
This is in reference to the close-up. Trees.
Trees! Oh, terrifying.
Don't be scared, kids. Why are you crying?
Yeah, a lot of that was to do with Sherry Folkeson as a director for this. She did some really clever things with the minimalist setting, and she did some equally ridiculous looking shots that just don't work. And that was one of them. The trees, like, just leering into the children. Does not work at all. It was
one of those moments where we were just like, what the hell is happening? What is this episode? Okay, next one is Happy Red Ring Day, because they're talking about how
the trees.
They know that this has happened before because they can see it in the
tree
rings
had
of the
one
trees.
red ring in the middle.
And I wrote, there's a cream for that. I am a child. I wrote, this episode is batshit.
Yeah.
Who has their phone on loud these days? Because they're being like notified of something.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh yeah, is it Maeve ringing everybody?
She like talks to the world.
Yeah.
And then because at the end of it she goes like, "I'm pleased to get my sister to come back," and it's like, okay.
Like, if that actually happened, so many people would just have their phone on the side and not answer.
Yeah.
Me included, because I never have my phone on loud. I was a soldier, seen all this shit before. So Danny's just kind of... Danny's seen all this shit before. He's just like, yeah, whatever. He's just not phased whatsoever.
It's like, okay.
It's like, yeah.
You keep telling yourself that, Mr. Pink.
You guys are always surprised when aliens appear, but when this happens, it's just normal. What?
You know why? It's because it's not aliens, it's... trees!
Now the trees have saved us, my sister will come back.
Right, how the fuck does that work? So where was she? Did the trees just like grab her and transport her somewhere?
Well,
how come that bush stuck around after everything just to randomly hide her in until Maeve and her mum got home? What?
I wrote that as like a joke. The trees have saved us, now my sister will come back. As in like, this is a fantasy world, everything will be fixed. And then it fucking happened.
Yeah, had you forgotten about that at the end?
Yeah, I said, fucking hell, that's fucking dumb. A predator in the bushes, like the wolves. Like, there's a moment, but just before she
they show the CGI eyes of the wolves in the tree.
And then you see...
And then you have the same shot.
It's like exactly the same shot, and it's
with
like...
her sister.
Is she a predator? Is that why she had to run away?
It's just...
Christopher, at the last
and she's clothed and looks healthy, and it's like, so where's she been?
What is that implying that... What? What is that implying? Who knows? Who knows? It's
a naff kid moment. It's like the little kid doing his happy dance in the Gangatoo part, where you're like, what is happening?
It's like the frigging Queen's nose. It was like magic.
But like, with no magic... If you'd be like, oh no, this story's about magic, then I'd be like, sure. But it's like, no, apparently the trees just did this.
You just didn't look very far. She was in the bush at the front of the house.
We really need to crack on.
Last point. Christopher's review of this. It's been 8 years and it's still a bag of piss. That's what Christopher said at the very end of the episode, and it made me chuckle. So, that is the review. It's been 8 years and it's still a bag of piss. End of.
Magical
Let's
stuff.
move on to the next one.
Dark Water and Death in Heaven. Bring up your notes for this one, Sonny Jim, because then we're going to have to give a Cliff Notes version.
Well, it's just right underneath.
Oh, there you go. Our conclusion to the series is the two-parter that starts a really boring trend of modern Who, where the Cybermen are the random bitch boys of someone else, usually the Master, taking away all of their agency and what makes them interesting. Which really sucks, because the last time we saw them was Nightmare in Silver, which is not great, but is like, oh shoot, this latest upgrade, these guys are basically unstoppable, like, soldiers now. What do we do? And in this story, it turns out what they do is get completely controlled by someone else and weaponized into a private army that can be operated from a wristwatch.
Do we get found out? Hold on.
Do we find out how she got hold of them and stuff?
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, God.
Nope, she's just done it.
Well, I just asked, do we get found out? But
Interesting.
For what?
Interesting Cyberman idea. The idea of like a nano plague that converts bodies. Sure. Okay. Like it resurrects enough DNA of the corpse host that it can be used as like the the pilot or the insides of a Cyberman, basically. And it starts with graves, and then eventually, like as the Doctor says, it will mutate and get to the point where it will convert bodies and people into Cybermen. So eventually the planet will all be Cybermen.
Yeah.
Like eventually. I'm getting ahead, I'm skipping it. Consider this a review of both episodes in one, because obviously in part one, Dark Water, you have no idea it's the Cybermen despite all those eyeball frame window hints, and then the really obvious one where it's like there's something I'm missing, and it's staring me right in the face, and they walk through the door and it closes and there's two of the things with and you hear the bum 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 bum. It's like the Cybermen then. It's the Cybermen.
I only wrote notes for the first one.
But the reason they gave that away, I guess, is because like the real twist of the story isn't that the Cybermen are in it, despite the fact they then play that as a twist even after they've telegraphed it in that moment. The twist is that there's another villain who's back. Dark Water is odd. This is the one that got loads of complaints for the don't cremate me thing. Because it establishes that in the Doctor Who universe, when you die, your consciousness does, or at least can, if someone intercepts it or whatever, go somewhere else. Like, they don't say, normally it would be heaven, or, normally it'd be Valhalla. Like, they don't, go, here's where it goes. But they set up the idea that Missy has developed this technology where she steals consciousness at the moment of death, which we've seen before in Moffat Who. Not the same thing, but we've seen the same idea before in the Library two-parter. And we will see it again with Testimony in Capaldi's last story and other places. It's an idea. Moffat's frightened of dying. Look up the Five Who fans video about it.
Yeah.
I did a whole essay on it.
It's fascinating when you think about it.
But he does it again in this. She's stealing people's consciousness in the moment of death on Earth. People who've spent a lot of money so that their bodies can be entombed in the facility, which turns out is hidden inside a TARDIS-like interior inside St. Paul's Cathedral, where their bodies on death remain there, and because the body has to remain intact for the consciousness to be uploaded to the, the Nethersphere?
Yeah.
They get first dibs. But then also she starts doing it to random people. The implication is she's been doing it to people the Doctor's encountered, just sort of keep tabs on what he's been up to. That's why the clockwork droid, which makes no sense. That's why the police officer and stuff, and the caretaker and the soldiering into the Dalek and all this stuff. It's her just sort of keeping tabs on what the Doctor's up to.
Yeah.
But then they're the first to be converted into Cybermen. The Dark Water removes anything that's... The Dark Water that they're encased in removes inorganic material, implying that they are all decayed to the point of being skeletons. Okay, interesting. Also, so if it's just the skeleton inside the Cyberman, what else is it using? The modern Cybermen have really established the idea, especially in their original two-parter in Series 2.
Brain, right?
There's either brain or nerve matter and things like that. Nerve endings are used and stuff. They've got bits in, exactly. The Moffat era alone has been this thing opens up, there's the skull. There is more going on in there. And obviously beyond the body's decay, they continue to operate.
Isn't that the point of, Cybermen are, what humanity would be like without empathy and feelings?
When things got so bad that they removed those things.
Yeah.
It's ultimately.
So it's still part.
It's partially like a Red Menace communism Russia thing, but it's also an idea of body modification and numbing the pain by trying to make yourself feel better artificially, and there's lots of different angles that Cybermen work from. And the best version of the Cybermen, of course, are the Borg. Not even Cybermen in the show, because the Borg are a homage to / rip-off of the Cybermen that do it better.
You can't be that scary in Doctor Who.
You can't. The way Moffat uses them in Series 1. Sorry, Series 1. The way Moffat uses them in Series 5, the first series of his run, when they show up in the Pandorica Opens, is such a terrifying use of them. And also the fun he has with them. One that's been reprogrammed to just basically be a Google Assistant in the form of handles. He's had some fun with them as a concept, but then he's also kind of shat the bed with them, and it really happens to be a recurring thing from this point onwards. Even Closing Time, which isn't great, like the Cyberman shot a store on a crashed ship underneath the department store and everything. Even that is still like a horrifying idea of like it's a busted up group of them not at full power, biding their time and sucking electricity out of the area to repower and then eventually convert someone nearby into a cyber leader to start up the process of conversion underground. Like, yeah, that's a scary idea. Like when it shows up in the dressing room and stuff, like the changing room, and attacks that woman. It's like, oh, what the hell? Like, Cybermen operating on the sly is a creepy idea. As daft as Nightmare in Silver is, seeing him ploughing through everything like full on powerful and unstoppable is like, okay, now this is serious.
Oh, imagine
Everyone's doomed.
Cyberman running.
Well, it does in that. It sort of walks really fast, doesn't it? It's faster than everybody else's vision. And
Well,
anyway,
walking fast is something different. Can I just say,
yeah,
do you reckon somebody's made an Alexa with the handles?
probably.
That'd be cool.
The way that Danny Pink becomes one by the end of part 2, but somehow his emotional inhibitor wasn't right.
It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, the reason is for story reasons. It's so he can have that last minute kind of emotional connection with Clara
Yeah, but
and make the
how-
decision to have his emotions turned off because it's too painful.
But how would that have happened?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like the 1 in a million chance that his is fucked
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
It's like, huh? Yeah. And again, the death of Danny Pink at the start of part 1 is played brilliantly.
Yeah,
Like,
I wrote that. I was sad that Danny died.
The way it happened suddenly and randomly, and the fact that Clara focuses on that, it's like, it wasn't, like, that was what was horrible about it. It was nothing. It was an average death.
Like, she's seen... She's
Yeah.
been to the ends of the universe
But
and seen...
But it does brilliantly personify what happens when you lose somebody just suddenly.
Yeah.
Like, it feels weird. You don't feel like you've had a chance to say goodbye, or you don't get a chance to say goodbye. Or, like, you know, the whole, like, oh, you just walked out of the house one day and got hit by a bus. It's like, oh, God. Yeah. And they're gone now.
And then everybody's life seems to continue, but yours doesn't.
Yeah, but, like, that's the thing. It doesn't feel right, in a way. I mean, at the same time, you know, a lot of us, myself included, I hope that I die fairly painlessly. I'd love to die painlessly. Like, instantly. Great. I'm going to feel that pain for a split second and I'm gone. Doesn't matter. Like, brilliant. Sure.
That haunts me, though. As somebody with anxiety, like quite bad anxiety, that every time you leave the house or anything,
Yeah.
I get terrified that will happen to you.
Okay.
So that hits
It's fine.
me.
I plan to get a really horrid disease and die very slowly in front of your eyes over several years. No, I don't. I'd rather be hit by a bus. If that makes you feel any better. Hi! Fun times.
So that,
But yeah.
I mean, that resonated with me. That's really tragic and horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that, like you pointed out, why don't we hear the phone skittling along the ground? That's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Why don't we hear the crash?
Yeah.
Why don't we hear any of the noises? But Clara's reaction, I'm just going to get this in now, this is where I start to dislike this character. Her reaction is to wait, she hasn't heard off the doctor in a couple of weeks, is to wait, and then as soon as she shows up, like phones, she's like, yeah, everything's fine, can you come pick me up? She steals every TARDIS key that she knows he has, including the one in his pocket. I'm like, good luck. Like, we've seen the Doctor empty those pockets before. There's like millions of items, but sure, whatever. So she gets them all. She hits him with a sleep patch, which is like, they've not established that in a previous story. It feels like that should have been a thing you'd established in a previous story. Even just to use it briefly, so that when we see it, we go, oh, what's she doing with it?
Do you know, funnily enough, I thought I'd missed something.
Yeah. They wake up next to a volcano, because she was like, send me to a volcano, I've never seen lava. And then she's like, right, here's your TARDIS keys, throws one in the lava, have I got your attention? He's like, okay. And she's basically like, Danny's dead, we're going to save him, we're going to bring him back. And the Doctor's like, what do you mean? It's like, we're going to change time, we're going to go back, we're going to rescue him before he dies. It's like, you know we can't do that. It's like, well, you change time all the time. And he's like, yeah, but like, it's a delicate freaking balance. I know, it's the whole Time Lord thing. I know when you can interfere. I know when you can do that. And she's just throwing the TARDIS keys away, and then he's like, oh, go on, do as you're taught. And it becomes the whole control freak thing that they keep trying to plough in, that Moffat's setting up the idea of Clara is not good for this Doctor. And this Doctor is not good for Clara.
Yeah.
Like, her and Eleven, that relationship was a balance in a way that worked for them, and they got on well and had adventures and everything was great, and now there is a clash that is bad for both of them.
Yeah.
And yet they still hang out. She still has appointments with him where he picks her up and they go on adventures. And it's like, why? Like, the fact that that's there is odd, because it's suddenly like this episode goes, this was the main story of the series, guys. And it's like, was it? Huh? Wait, what? And then you find out, after she chucks the last key in, she regrets it. He wakes her up because it turns out he saw what she was doing. He was immune to it. He hit her with one of the patches. They're a dream patch, not a sleep patch. And she played out psychically, and he could see what it was. He was participating in it, like what it was she was intending to do. And then he's like, right, come on then, let's go get Danny. Like, I can see how upset you are. Let's see what we can do. Let's try and find him. Let's use the psychic thing, which they set up earlier, like the psychic thing in the TARDIS, and like use that. Focus on him. Let's find him. Like, and they set that up in Listen earlier in the series. Like, she went to like go back to her childhood or whatever, and she went back to Danny's because she was thinking about Danny, and you know, so all that stuff. But it's the fact that, and there's that line where she's like, "Why are you helping me?" And he's like, "Do you think I care for you so little? Do you think I care about you so little that betraying me would make any difference?" So the idea is he's basically saying, "I love you, like I adore you. You fucked up massively, like really bad, or we're going to. But I care. Me caring about you is more important than you fucking up." Now there is a sentiment in there where I'm like, "Oh my god, that's really sweet." But everything she was going to do was premeditated.
Yeah.
This is where I'm like, no, fuck Clara. I'm not a fan anymore. Because it meant her idea, after mourning for a couple of weeks and then him showing up, wasn't to go, how do we get him back? Or I want him to come back.
Yeah.
Like, just tell him what had happened. It was, I'm going to deceive him, and basically, if he doesn't listen to me, destroy the way he lives. Destroy his access to his home. He'll never be able to get into his home again. We will die on this volcano. I don't want to live anymore, and I'm going to make sure he doesn't have a fucking chance to live either. It's so horrible that I'm like, I'm sorry, no. Like, you go and find out what's going on with Danny for her, because you care about her, and then you kick her off the TARDIS for good. You're like, you are never being involved. Like, we are never going to see each other again.
Well,
good effing riddance. Go away. Like, I'm sorry, that's... I understand the heat of the moment. I understand the grief, like, leading her, but it's a premeditated plan. It's not a spur-of-the-moment thing where she's just acting on her grief. She's phoned him and gone, oh, this is what I'm going to do. He's your friend. Talk to him.
I'm going to jump in.
Sorry, yeah.
You're just getting very passionate about it.
I realised, like, as we're watching this series,
yeah.
This is it. This is the moment where I
well,
just
we
like
were
this
talking
character.
about it. This is another moment.
When Missy pokes her with a sharp stick at the start of next series, I'm like, yes, you do poke her with a sharp stick.
Okay.
Keep poking her.
Okay, honey. There's no need to sweat. There's no need to cry.
Out of both ends.
So I think this was another moment where we paused the episode and we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And I said, and at first I was like, no, I would go to the ends of the earth if it meant that I could bring you back.
Yeah. If something happened to me, you'd be like, I will do anything I can to bring you back.
I would be, grief makes you do stupid things.
Yeah.
And you would do anything you can to get that person back. And we were talking about it, and you were like, yeah, but no. And I was like, but would you not do that for me? And you were like, no. And we figured out there's a fundamental,
issue in the execution of this.
Just as a fundamental step that she didn't take.
Yeah.
Which was ask the doctor first.
Yes.
She went straight from 0 to 60 with nothing in between.
Yeah. That for me is the...
If she had asked the doctor, is there a way to save him? Can we save him?
Well, just tell him, even. Just tell him in the first place, Danny's dead.
And the doctor would say, there's nothing we can do about it, blah, 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 blah. And then that happened. It would be more...
She's desperate.
Yeah.
Whereas what she did was she betrayed him, as he says.
She cut out the middleman.
She betrayed him.
Because, what would have happened if she'd have been stood there...
If it had been real. If it had been real, what would happen?
If she'd have been stood there with the keys...
Yeah.
And she'd have gone, have I got your attention? Blah, 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 we need to save Danny. And the doctor would have gone, yeah, we can do that. Stop being so dramatic, calm down.
Yeah.
that would she have just been like, all right, okay, and the doctor would have been, yeah, okay.
Well, exactly.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what scenario would this be okay? Would this
she
work?
did that because she knew it is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
She knew that it was a bad thing, so she was going to force him to do the bad thing.
Which is
or lose his home, his transportation, his one connection to who he is.
Don't ask for help.
His friend, the TARDIS is alive, and they'll never be able to see each other again, and the two of them will probably die on that side of the volcano.
Is Chameleon still in the TARDIS? They
no,
died?
Chameleon is gone.
Yeah.
No, Chameleon is gone. Chameleon is gone in the King's Demons.
Might be a Chumbly in there.
Oh, right, just saying there's some...
You know?
Who'll maintain the swimming pool?
Exactly.
I think the swimming pool's been jettisoned by this point. Anyway, the point is...
I don't know, but that Sontaran or Cyberman fell over it.
Oh, jeez, the Sontaran over the Sunlounger. This is it, right? I can't... I'm not on board with Clara
So I agree
anymore.
with you completely that, you know, she missed that vital step and it didn't make any sense.
So much so that when they do the cheeky opening of Death in Heaven, it's like, her eyes are in the title and she's credited first.
It just pissed me off.
I'm no longer like, that's cheeky. I'm like, oh, fucking
It just annoyed me, like, ugh.
And it's no fault of Jenna Coleman's. It's entirely in the script.
Yeah.
It's entirely in the script.
She played it well. She played mourning, angry partner well.
Do you know who else played their parts well in this?
Go on.
Apart from Sheila Reid as her gran for one random scene. Making you go, oh yeah, she's got a family.
Her head was massive.
That's random. Samuel Anderson, again, plays everything brilliantly. Danny contending with the afterlife and finally learning that, like, the tragedy he's been hiding, the trauma that he has been living with, is that he, during the war, like, he was involved in, the conflicts he was involved in, he accidentally killed a child.
Yeah.
And that's what he's been like. That's the guilt, implying that that's why he left the military, because of his trauma. That's why he left.
It's there. Sorry.
Were you just looking for your phone and it's in your pocket?
Yes.
Oh dear. So that, and the way he plays that is great. I think the way Chris Addison plays off of him as Seb with that, like, very sing-songy, flippant attitude is great for those scenes. Because it's that difference between sort of the fun office, like, banter of whatever the Nethersphere is versus Danny's actual, like, trauma and confusion over it all. The scene with him and Clara talking over the phone and stuff, where he's like, I love you.
Just made me angry.
I'm completely on Danny's side.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this might be the last I ever get a chance to talk to her. Like, I'm dead and I've been given a chance to talk to her. And she wants to know it's me, so I'm telling her I love her. And she's like, no, I don't believe that. Tell me something only Danny would say. And it's like... Even if he wasn't real, would you not just take that advantage? Oh, shit, the start where Clara's like, right, listen, this phone call's really important. Like, I love you. And it's important that you listen to me and understand that. Like, no, don't say it back. Shut up, stop talking to me. The reason I'm telling you this is because, like, I'm never going to say it to anyone else ever again. And it's like, Moffat, what do you think love is?
They've already said I love you.
Yeah, but
so, like, it's not like
But what does he think love is? Like, romantic love can be the only love? Like, what about your family? What about your friends? What about a pet? What about, like, music you love? Like, do you know what I mean? You say things like, oh, I love that. Oh, I love you. Oh, I love them. They're brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is differences between it. She could very openly say to another human being in a non-romantic way, I love you.
Yeah.
Like, it's so... Moffat has such weirdly black and white ideas of what romance is.
Just black and white ideas in general.
It's so odd. So that later on when he's saying I love you, she's like, no, shut up, you can't say that. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Sorry about all the swearing in this one. This, as you can tell, this is the breaking point for me with Clara and this era.
Like I was saying, even if it wasn't Danny, would you not take advantage of that situation? Like, you just in case.
Yeah.
I would say... If
that was the last communication... and technically, it's the last communication they ever have with him as him.
Yeah.
Because after this, he's a Cyberman.
You would say, oh my god, I love you so much. You know, whatever you'd say to a person that you've lost. But that pisses me off. It pisses me off massively.
The guy who plays Dr. Chang does a good job.
Yeah, yeah.
Ingrid Oliver and Gemma Redgrave as Osgood and Kate Stewart, respectively, bring it in this two-parter. They're great. I think this is the last really good use of them, in my opinion. We see them again next series, but for me, this is the last use of them that I... Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Brace yourself.
Oh, Osgood.
Yeah, brace yourself. This is the last really good use of them for me, from my memory. And the way Kate just rocks up and is like, "Hi, yeah, you're Cybermen, great, we've got this covered. Oh, by the way, something you left from last time," throws down a severed head of a Cyberman from the invasion. Is like, "Got your attention? Good. Okay," like, all that, great. That's so Brigadier, it's ridiculously brilliant. Osgood, great, adorable, and the fact that they set up that, hang on, her and the Doctor actually get on very well. She's not fangirling anymore, she's like holding it in. She's clearly still a fan. She's got new items on her that are clearly either commissions she's had made of things he's worn or something of his that she's got hold of. But they set it up in a way where you go, yeah, they're going to kill her off.
Yeah. And
they do. And it works because of that. Because you're like, oh no. You actually feel bad that she's killed off. Michelle Gomez is amazing as Missy.
She plays Sinister very well.
I just don't get what her motivation is.
No.
I just want to give you everything you ever wanted, which is what? An army. What?
Why?
The reveal was great. I remember the reveal happening when it happened, and it was like, oh, that's really cool. All right. It's like, I told you I'm Missy. Well, I couldn't keep... as in Mistress, I couldn't keep calling myself the Master now, could I? And you're like, all right, okay. I mean, there were suspicions at this point that she was an old villain.
Yeah.
But the way it's done is nice, and his utter confusion at it happening is, like, understandable, like, what's going on.
But the introduction of her, when she tells him that she's, like, a
robot and all that. It's just her dicking around, but it's like...
Why does she have to
He obviously
kiss
feels
him?
a second heart, because Moffat, A, loves that, B, the Doctor is his self-insert character, and C, he has a thing for older women in suits or darker clothing.
In a slightly aggressive manner.
Yeah, like, we've been through this in earlier videos, Moffat being horny on Maine, and Maine being BBC One.
I wrote,
Missy
kissing the Doctor, why? Put it back in your pants, Moffat.
Yeah, like, he talked in interviews prior to this about the fact, people said, like, what other classic villains would you use? Would you ever do the Master? And he's like, I don't really have that much interest in the Master. Like, I think the performers are all very good, but it's just not a villain I'm interested in writing, so I have no plans for the Master currently, right? And then Missy happens. It's like, oh no, he found a way to get into the Master in a way that he enjoyed, making her his, like, poorly disguised ideal woman, essentially. Yeah. It's like, okay, fine. Gomez's energy, her wide-eyed, manic kind of, like, vibe is great.
Yeah, like I say, she plays Sinister well.
The conversation with Osgood before she kills her, brilliant. Brilliantly done. Continuing to waste guest stars, Sanjeev Bhaskar as Colonel Ahmed. Great actor. In it for a couple scenes where he's just like, my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
Then we make a brief Captain Scarlet Thunderbirds joke.
Oh, on the plane.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, we don't have the Valiant anymore, because of course we don't. So we've got this plane. The Doctor's the President of the Earth. Huh? There's an interesting concept for, like, a story of the Earth under siege, but in this it's like a 5-minute thing that doesn't really have any meaning. The fact that any character you've ever loved on this show who was buried on Earth is now a Cyberman is like, that's either a mine for potential dramatic content or a really horrid afterthought, and it ends up being a really horrid afterthought because they don't do anything with it except, and I'm not even going to say the words, they imply through the actions of one Cyberman that Cyberman knows who they are, knows who their daughter is, and rescues their daughter in a situation they'd have no idea was happening. We're not even going to do the handshake because it's not him. I'm sorry, it's not him.
It's not.
I refuse to believe it's him. He gets a dignified exit over that phone call with the person at the care home in Series 6. Perfect exit. Perfect off-screen exit for the character. You don't do this, Moff. You don't do it.
Not to the Brigadier.
Although when we saw his framed picture in the plane, we did shake hands and do a little meme thing for the brig. We need to wrap up, by the way. The battery's going.
I just want to say, there's a whole thing being made about being cremated.
Yes. Don't cremate me. Massive complaints, because it was that idea of, hey kids, if you cremate your relative, they can feel it.
Yeah, I wrote that
And we never
Kids
see
just
what
found
that
out-
does either. Like, we never see what it does.
Kids just found out that the granny failed the cremation, but
Yeah. But again, if this was Torchwood, great.
yeah.
Deal with those
But
dark
also-
concepts. Especially because Torchwood dealt with the idea of, like, the thing that was touched on in Doctor Who, like, when people go, there's just darkness, there's nothing but darkness. And then Torchwood, like, dives into that even deeper and is like, no, seriously, there's nothing after death, but you're kind of awake, and it's darkness. And it's like, that's horrifying. And they play into it with Owen's storyline, and, like, Death trying to reclaim him and everything. Like, they play into that. So, do that in Torchwood. Go for it. Go for it. This? Tea time telly for the whole family? Nah.
But you need...
Like, you can do dark stuff in Doctor Who, but that's just too far.
You need something of a person to make a Cyberman, surely. If you've been cremated, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So why?
That's just a box of ashes with little cyber handles comes out. Starts bounding around.
So that doesn't make any sense. So
Speed round.
I wrote, why is there a need for police in the afterlife when they're looking over the, the thing that they're in?
Yeah.
There's police going. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Can you die again?
And also when they claim St. Paul's and then somehow Clara, 3 Cybermen and the Danny Cyberman are in there and it's like, sorry, did you not see those Cybermen and that woman wandering around?
Dr. Chang wants dark water in swimming pools.
Creep.
So bikinis aren't shown and stuff like that, but most things that you'd associate a swimming pool with would
because the doctor says, like, cluelessly, like, why would you want that? And Clara's sort of like, don't focus on it, Doctor, he's making a dirty joke. And it's like, yeah, but also, like, swimming pools have more than just, like, the ladies he wants to look at in them. So that's really creepy.
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger, yeah.
And then the last thing I've said was a great shot of a Skelly Bob standing up.
Yes, the skeleton stuff's weird because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The whole, like, it's covering the armour that's around them and yet you see the skeleton finger press the switch in the case.
That really bothers you,
it bothers me, like, crazy because it's like, I'm sorry. Also, the fact there's a Cyberman in a tank in the room with Dr. Chang, the Doctor and Clara and none of them notice it.
Yeah. Stupid.
So dumb.
So stupid.
I don't like Dark Water, Death in Heaven.
No.
I think Rachel Talalay directs the shit out of some of it. It looks very good.
It's frustrating. Too much is happening.
It'd be a great exit for Clara if it was the exit for Clara. Like, do you know what I mean? At the end, the whole like, you go live with Danny, you'll be happy. Don't worry, I found it. Because Missy, of course, teases that she found Gallifrey. And she gives him the coordinates. She's like the original coordinates. She never wants them to think to look.
Yeah.
And then he goes and it's not there. She was lying to him just to troll him, basically. Missy gets killed by the Doctor.
But not...
No, by the Doctor. The Doctor's gonna do it. And then the random Cyberman, who's not the person, kills Missy. Which, again, if it was that person, that makes sense. Of course they'd kill the Master. Sure. Yeah, but just... I don't know. Just...
It's stupid.
Yeah.
How do people not remember the Cybermen?
Yes, thank you. Army have got, like, they've not established that everyone's forgotten everything that's happened before. Anyway, whatever.
This series is a bag of balls.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It trips over itself.
Yeah. I'm not a good man. I'm not a bad man. I'm an idiot. It's like, yeah, sure. What? Fine. I don't think it's ever worked. Like, the Doctor's morality coming into question suddenly with this incarnation is a story arc that does not work for me. At all. So that big triumphant speech at the end where he's like, I'm none of these things. It's like, huh? Also, Missy introduced Clara and the Doctor in the first place because she knew Clara was a control freak and it would create a problematic relationship.
What doing?
Despite the fact that Clara and the 11th Doctor got on fine. Yeah. Also, did Missy know Clara was the impossible girl and about that mystery as well? None of it's explained.
It doesn't make any sense. Like I say, it trips over itself a lot. We did have fun watching it though, because we just tore it apart.
Yeah, we ripped into this one a fair bit as we were going, and we had a good time. I like that it ends and then the credits get interrupted by the tease for Christmas. I think is quite for by a knock at the door.
Comes through the TARDIS.
No, wrong series. When Father Christmas knocks on the door is quite, and the fact that he's like, you can't leave it like that, and it's like, okay, interesting. Because it would be a good exit. It would be a good exit for Clara, But next episode is meant to be Clara's exit. But isn't, as you'll see. Nick Frost, Father Christmas, Last Christmas.
I've not seen this
You've
one.
never seen this one, have you? This is going to be interesting.
I'm pretty sure I've not seen anything after this now.
You've seen a couple. And you've seen some Jodie era stuff as well.
Oh yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean like Capaldi's.
This should be interesting. Do you share our feelings? Do you feel completely different? Let us know in the comments down
Did you
below.
enjoy any of these? Please tell us how, why, and when.
Whenst, sir, whomst.
And remember, if you're gifted and talented, you are special.
Oh dear, we love you to bits. Have a good time, all. We'll see you next time for Christmas.
Goodbye, Merry
It's actually, as we record this, it's actually Christmas. Look, there's a Christmas tree.
It's the 28th of December.
Oh, see you soon.
Merry Chrysler.